Hi, it's Mick here in Canada, also known as Leeds Faithful or at Maynard M on Twitter, and I'm here with another matchday review and preview for the Roaring Peacock Leeds Overseas. Sometimes dull opponents make dull matches, and Leeds United's last match against Aston Villa was one of the very few forgettable matches that we've had since Marcelo Bielsa took over a few years ago. Aston Villa really didn't come to play. It was a case of anti-football beating football. Sometimes that happens, and it's unfortunate for everyone. I guess except for Aston Villa fans, who I'm sure are quite happy with the 3 points. And I guess you could say they deserve those 3 points. But what a boring lack of a spectacle that really was. I honestly, if Leeds United came anywhere, really, they went anywhere, at home, away, it doesn't matter, and set up just to spoil a match like that after getting a very lucky, to be fair, it was a well-taken goal. The finish was great, but the circumstances leading up to the goal were pretty lucky. I mean, it was a slip, the ball didn't go where it was intended, and they capitalized on it. Good for them. We were unable to do the exact same thing with very similar circumstances up the other end. Boo for us. On another day, it could have been a different result. But 85 minutes of spoiling tactics from Aston Villa, Smith ball, awful. What a dull and boring thing to have to watch. And I don't know how much I'd really want to watch it, even if I was to get the 3 points. It's just not, it's not for me. I might feel differently if we were, pushing for a European place, which we're not, or if we were fighting relegation, which we're not. But I also don't really believe Aston Villa are pushing for a European place either. They may look like they are, but I don't know if they are. I don't know if they have the quality to do it, particularly if Jack Grealish is out with an injury. Again, it was a lucky 3 points against us. The 3-1 aggregate score to us, and 3 points apiece over the course of the season between us and Aston Villa. And I suppose that's better than 2 draws, 2 points, getting 3 apiece. If you had asked at the start of the season, would I take a win and a loss pretty much against any team in the league, I'd say, yeah, I'd take that. So I can't be too disappointed at the end of the day with where we are and what our results against Aston Villa were over the course of the season. But I was a little disappointed with how the game played out. It was dull. We didn't perform that well because they played tight. They played really narrow. They packed the box, parked the bus, however you want to put it. There goes the other cliche. I told you I'd promise you more cliches. And at the end of the day, it was just something that's forgettable. So let's forget about it and move on. We go again. And as it turns out, we go again in London against West Ham, who similarly were able to almost spoil their way to 3 points against us when we played last at Ellen Road. Now, David Moyes is no dummy. He got his tactics spot on against us last time out, despite us getting sort of an early-ish goal through a penalty, which was retaken. A little bit lucky with that. They were able to get 2 goals off of what I can recall set pieces, which were, of course, the bane of our existence at that point in time. Since then, we have actually improved, I think, in defending and attacking set pieces. So, maybe that's one of the weapons that will blunt, one of their weapons that will blunt a little bit. I don't know, can you blunt a hammer? I guess a hammer's already blunt. Well, whatever. I think that's something that we're going to be able to do better with this time. But they have other weapons, and one of the weapons they're going to have that they didn't have last time is Antonio, who is an excellent finisher. And I think that's the danger man that we're going to have to do something about. I don't know who's going to be marking him, but whoever it is, whether it's Llorente or Cooper or Struck or whoever, they're going to have to really play well in order for us to get anything out of this match. Now, I am never the type of fan that bets against Leeds. If you ask me what the prediction is, I'm going to tell you Leeds win. Every time, even when I know deep down we're not going to win, I'm never going to admit that. I'm always going to say Leeds will win, or at least get a result. And in this case, I'm going to say, I don't know if we're going to break the London curse and get a win down in London, but I think we could get a result. I think we're going to try to have a bit of a bounce back game after what happened with Aston Villa. the way that we were restricted, I think the players looked like they felt pretty frustrated, and I hope they take those frustrations out down in London at West Ham in that stadium, which really isn't a football stadium. Hey, maybe that's the key. Maybe we go and play at a stadium in London that isn't really a football stadium, and that will be the key that unlocks the London curse. I'm going to go with that. So let's say we go down there. I would be happy with any sort of result. We come away with a draw, great. We come away with a win, obviously, really great. But even if we don't, not the end of the world. We are solidly mid-table. I think the season has gone really well. I'm happy with where we are, and I'm looking forward to seeing if we're able to have a bit of a bounce back on this upcoming. That's it for me. Enjoy the match, everyone.
Hi, this is Varun. I'm a Leeds fan from Bombay, India, and I'd like to talk about the previous game versus Aston Villa. It was quite disappointing, to be honest. Like a typical championship game wherein we went to goal down pretty early, and thereafter we put so much pressure on ourselves to get back in the game on the front foot. I think we struggled to create too many chances, as many as we normally do, and a lot of our passes were misplaced, hence adding to the frustration of the players. And even though there's no fans, I think the pressure on the team sometimes tells, especially when we go down against like a team which is out there only to grab a goal and then defend like the entire match. I think we struggle a bit against that. So I think we got to put that loss behind us, and hopefully with Rodrigo back, I think there'll be some improvement in the attacking composure and like the build-up that we can produce in the following matches. With regards to West Ham, it's a tricky game, like a really hard game. They've been flying this season. Strong, very physical team, very organized team. They have reasonable squad depth, especially on the wings and in the midfield. And they've coped well without Masuaku, as Bielsa also pointed out, who was really good for them in the start of the season. So I think it's going to be a tough one. I think our last West Ham game versus them was probably the worst performance of the season, I felt. And like we really struggled to create much, and we were out-muscled and out-fought the entire game, and they got in through our midfield so easily the last time. I think this time we've learned from that. We've kind of minimized the threat through the middle now, and since our fullbacks aren't pushing up as much as they used to, I think we look a bit better defensively. But again, it's London, so you never know. Like it's unlikely that we come away with anything a point to be great, because we've got quite some hard games coming up, especially against Chelsea, which is the next game. But then after that, we have two games that we should be winning, which is versus Sheffield and Fulham. But with Leeds, you never know. And then after those two games, like we have a tough run in that includes Liverpool, Scum, and Man City. So I think versus West Ham and versus Fulham and Sheffield is where we need to look at getting points. We've not been too good against the so-called top four, but I think we could maybe get something hopefully against Chelsea and Man United. So that'll be like a real bonus. But we need Calvin back soon. I don't think he's back for the next match. So we've just got to cope and see whether the players respond to like an extended period of rest that we've had for the last 10 or 11 days. Yeah, good luck to us.
What's a crack? This is, I'm Scott, and this is Leeds Overseas on the Roaring Peacock. That a cross between the Roaring Peacock, rearing to go. So it's the Rearing Peacock. No, I'm only joking. So, quick reaction to the Aston Villa result. It's an absolute shambles. With our 70% possession to their 30, we had 13 shots at 9. It was a very championship performance. If I was an Aston Villa fan, I think I would be happy with the 3 points, but I would also lead a very boring life if that type of football entertained me and tickled my tonsils, because that was the most boring pile of boring poop you could ever imagine. Getting a goal in the 5th minute and then parking the bus, that was shocking. I think definitely Villa deserve some plaudits for their quality time management, or as the rest of the world calls it, shithousing and time wasting, because that's exactly what it was. It was a rubbish game. It was a shit match on a shit pitch with a shit ref that didn't have the balls to send Target off when he should have, and give Leeds what they deserve. But look, is what it is. Let's look forward to some exciting points that we can earn away in London. I know people say the London curse has to end soon, but I don't think it's going to end this week. I shall try and put a positive spin, thinking that we aren't going to get hammered on Monday night, but unfortunately we are the nail and they are the hammer, and they are going to pound us harder than Ron Jeremy in his prime. But just like many of Ron Jeremy's victims, should we say, the harder he pounds, the more they pound back. And let's be honest, if we show up on Monday night and don't let them hammer us into a corner, we could certainly do some pounding back and nail them down. We'll see. I'll always back my team, but I'm going to go with we can win this 2-1. I'm going to say on. On.
I'm Paul Walsh. I'm a diehard Leeds fan for the last 30 years, and I'm from County Offaly in the middle of Ireland. Aston Villa, shit on the Villa, we most certainly did not. Oh, very frustrating game, very soft goal to concede early on. Costa completely left his man. Very frustrating. You cannot be doing that. The guy got allowed 2 touches in the box to finish. Give me a break. And El Ghazi, of all players, after the incident with Bamford a couple of years ago, it had to be him. It's like fate, karma. But anyway, after that, Aston Villa fans would lead you to believe was the Dean Smith masterclass, tactical genius. Not really. They set up to frustrate us, time waste, foul us, do whatever they can to get a result. And look, at the end of the day, they got their 3 points. No, not going to discredit them of that. I don't think they deserved the 3 points. I thought a draw would have been a fair result. No, Bielsa said 3 points would have been fair. But we didn't create enough chances, but nor did they. So a draw, I think, would have been a fair result. I thought Roberts was very, very poor. I really wanted him to have a good game. I want him to earn his contract. I want him to work, but he was very poor. Bamford never got a sniff as a result of the wingers just not getting the ball into him. Through the middle, I thought Strike went off injured. I think he would have been taken off. I think he was struggling, but just not getting enough through that middle. I thought Llorente was the player to step up to that position. Didn't happen for whatever reason. He decided to stick with Strike. It's not working, but anyway, that's Bielsa knows best. And as I said, it was just one of them days, and frustrating, very, very frustrating, because I think we have had Villa's measure. We obviously didn't the last night. We didn't get the result we wanted, and it just would have been nice to be back a little bit closer to safety with that win of Villa, which I expected. But obviously, moving on to West Ham, a good traditional English club who are still living off the joys of 1966. Look, it is. We are on our day. We can beat anyone. I think if Phillips was back, it would make a big difference. I think he's the only one of the players. I think Koch is back in training. Can't see it. Berardi not yet. Great seeing back in training. Delighted. Rodrigo probably not back yet. Poveda, Shackleton, but you never know. It's a long week. We need the break. I think a break will do us good. I'd like to see Llorente step up to that position. Although any of that more rolling around the ground, I'm not having that. It's not Leeds, and Bielsa won't stand for it, and Leeds fans won't stand for it. You never know. You never know. Being an overseas podcast, I just thought I'd make reference to Ireland, where I'm from myself, where there's a massive Leeds fan base, which I've been a fan of over 30 years here. I absolutely love going to Leeds. It's funny, one thing about lockdown is it made me really, really miss my trips to Ellen Road. Over the years, I've developed some great friends going over. We've developed a nice little clique of people of us to travel over together. Some of them actually hadn't even watched football up to about 3 years ago. But I got them over and said, look, if you come to Leeds, you go to the football, you enjoy it and see what you mean. And they've all fallen in love with the whole Leeds City, Leeds Football Club, and Leeds, as you know it. There's just something about it. Obviously, the Leeds Irish fan base comes back from the Johnny Giles era, and it moves up through the years. Basically, when I was growing up, Gary Kelly was my idol. Then you had Ian Hart, Stephen McPhail, Alan Mabry. Even as we went down for our relegation, Lee Miller, rest in peace, through the championship. I remember watching him, and then we had Johnny Douglas, Michael Doyle for a year, with loads of Irish players. It's always been a great connection with Ireland. There's an Irish centre in the city, over 50 years old. But I just love that feeling when you come into Leeds and you come over, as you come down into the hedgerow, and you just get that warm feeling. And it always felt so welcome, even at night time, after the game, win, lose or draw, down the calls, down Call Lane, into all the bars, across to Stone Roses Bar, very common haunt of mine. And it's one of them cities that's really, really made me feel welcome. And it's a great city and a great place and some great people. Now, and hopefully we'll get back there. Hopefully this year, and hopefully we'll see throngs of Irish getting over again and be able to shout on the mighty whites. Can we get a result against West Ham? Oh, I don't know. London, the hoodoo, 2017, since we had a win. I just don't know. I really don't know. On our day, we're good enough to beat anyone. We really are. I'd like to see Phillips back. I really think we need him in that central role. But if he's not, like we had in every other game, we've dealt with our injuries. Not that Sky Sports have noticed that we've had any injuries. Before the Villa game, I just noticed that it was just, you swear Grealish was the only player injured. Like, we've been crippled this year. Crippled more than Liverpool, Villa, any of them. But no one ever mentions that. And we still managed to, hopefully, stay up. We're nearly there. I don't know if Monday night will be the game to get the 3 point. But you never know. You never know. When Leeds least expected, Leeds seem to they tend to pull out a result and just jump out of nowhere. So, fingers crossed, we can do it. And come on, Leeds. Leeds. On.
Most of our stats come from LUFC Stats or LUFC Data on Twitter. A very special thanks to Barney Stewart Cook, Ewan and Howard Metcalf, Josh Pearson, Laura, Leon and Rob, The Light Show, and all our family and friends.